Here we go. Okay, so we are. Let's see.
The print could be a little bit smaller, then we would definitely have to listen to you.
Well, I can't really adjust that. I'm sorry. Okay. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to where we're up to?
English page 35.
Top page 35.
Yeah, we spoke, yeah, hang on. We spoke about
35.
Oh, we got to 33. Oh.
33.
Yeah, I would call.
Wow, we got all sorts of opinions going on here.
On page 33, you discussed Titus and whatever that means.
Yes, Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah.
Oh, we did get
I don't remember doing the Zohar and Parsha Shlach.
I thought we started in the heart correspondence, the Holy of Holies.
Okay.
35.
I think we
Yeah,
ended
we're at
on.
top 35.
Weren't you supposed to have a marker?
Yeah, I think so.
We're up
Top
to
of
the
35.
Zohar.
Yeah, it's 35. Zohar.
The next
I don't know, we did, there's a lot of, like, not
Yeah.
skipping around, but a lot of, like, extra stuff, so my notes do not correspond with what is on.
I think we're up to
Okay.
the Zohar and
Nebuchadnezzar and Titus, but
We did.
we did.
Okay. All right. Sounds like everybody needs to go take a walk and listen on Zoom because nobody seems to know where we're up to.
The Zohar and Shlach.
Well, actually, those of us on Zoom might know.
Okay.
The key is having already had a full day in David Mincha, then you're alert.
Okay. Well, I can recommend it. I don't think it's going to go over very well over here, though. Okay.
Listen more, go, let's see what she has.
That's right. So I believe we are up to page 35. I think that is correct.
The top.
Top of 35.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it breaks it up.
Okay.
different than in Hebrew.
I know.
All right. So we will start. Yeah, we'll start from there. Okay. So top of page 35. If you're in the Hebrew, it's on page Dalid.
Right.
The paragraph that begins with Gam al Zeus, the second to bottom paragraph.
Okay.
That's where we started.
I thought we did too.
Doesn't matter.
I don't
Zohar's good.
think we went all the way through that paragraph then.
Okay. Gam al Zeus yecharad leiv ha'adam me'am kodesh. And this too, the heart of a person who is a Jew should tremble. Shehu kaila b'tavdisai, because a person needs to realize that he himself incorporates within their makeup kol hakochos v'olam es kulam, all of the powers of all of the worlds. As we will describe later on. And these are the temple and the holy things that are up in the higher realms. And the heart of man, which is the center of the body, not necessarily the physical, geographic center, but it means the center focus of the body. That incorporates everything. Neged beis kodshei hakodshim, and that is corresponding to the Holy of Holies. Emtza hayishuv, the center of the development of the neighborhood. Even shasia, it is the cornerstone. Koilel kol sharshe mekar hakadusha is kamayu. It includes all of the roots of the sources of holiness. There's copies in the back. Welcome. Urmazu zal b'mishnah parak Tfilas Shachar, and this is alluded to by our sages in the chapter of Tfilas Shachar and Brachos. Yechaven es liba k'neged beis kodshei hakodshim. A person should focus when they are davening that their prayers are going to the Holy of Holies. So we kind of need to, I guess, backtrack a little bit to understand this. What we said last week was that the person is all-encompassing, meaning a person is created in the image of Hashem in the sense that he is able to create, meaning to say that mankind is not just the focus of creation, but mankind is actually the core. Mankind is the center of creation where everything comes together, everything passes through. That is mankind. So that means that every individual, at least of the Jewish people, has the crossroads for all of the worlds, all of the various realms, and all of the powers of things that happen and that make things happen. All of that is at its central point is mankind, and the Jewish people particularly. And within the Jew, it is the heart that is the center of that system. So the heart is, as we know, the seat of emotion, and the emotion is where all of this actually happens. So all of the things that go on in the worlds, through all the various realms and everything, it all originates in the heart of man. So he's comparing this to the Beis HaMikdash, because as we've learned many times, the Beis HaMikdash is also a microcosm of the world and all of the world. And within the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy of Holies, the Kadosh HaKadoshim, is the most sacred, central, and important part. So when we are picturing the various, branches and where everything leads to, and all of the roads that lead to Rome, Rome is the heart. That is the heart, that is the Kadosh HaKadoshim. It is the Even Shasia, as he said, which is a reference to the rock, which the Gemara tells us is where the creation, the formation of the world began. Okay, so when Hashem first created the world, there was this rock. That was the fountain, so to speak, where everything else came from. Everything grew out of this rock. It's called the Even Shasia. And that was actually in the Beis HaMikdash. And during the Second Temple, when we didn't have the Ark, it was that rock that was there instead. So the concept there is very straightforward. The idea is that everything stems from this spot. This is where everything comes from. Everything branches out from there. So the temple, we have all the service, we have all the different sacrifices, all the different services that we do with the menorah and the breads and the karbanos, everything. All of that is there to keep the world going. That's what it's for. This is the central hub where everything comes from. And within that, the Holy of Holies, the holiest place, that's the real core. That's like the point. That's the, the flux capacitor? Yeah? Anybody? Yeah, got it. Thank you. Okay, good. Glad some people got that reference. I am the youngest one in the room, so that's good. Sorry, Will. All right, relax. It's the PowerPoint. That's where everything starts from. It's the hub. So the heart is the representative of that in the human body. So the Jew has within them this central hub of all of the universes, all of the worlds, all of the different realms. It's all coming from what happens in the Jew, and within the Jew, all of that begins with and is ultimately powered by the heart. So that's how his connections that he's making here with the center of town, and it's this Even Shasia, the stone, and it's the Kadosh HaKadoshim, all of these things, it's all the same idea. It is where everything stems from.
I just got mistaken the reference point of where they said it wasn't brachos.
Oh.
I knew it wasn't there. So,
okay. All right.
And then I flipped to the English side, and they actually got it right on the English side.
Oh, okay. So this is a typo here. Okay, good. Yeah. Chaf seems a little early. Chaf is a little early. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So that's the idea over here, and he's mentions at the end that this is alluded to in a halacha. That is in the fourth parak of Brachos, which says that when we are davening, we all know we face east. Why do we face east? Because here, in this part of the world, when we face east, we're facing towards Jerusalem. We're facing towards the place of the Beis Hamikdash. And the halacha is that when you're davening, you're supposed to face the Beis Hamikdash, and particularly within the Beis Hamikdash, you're supposed to face the Holy of Holies. And the wording that it uses for that is yechaven es libay, that a person should focus their heart towards the Holy of Holies. Not just that we face there physically, but even if for whatever reason a person is unable to face there physically, they're sitting on a plane or something and they can't exactly, stand up and turn sideways, right? It doesn't usually work, right? Or you're on a bus or you're in a car and you can't, right? So you can daven anyway as long as your mind is sending, or your heart more accurately, is sending these tefillos, these prayers, to the Holy of Holies. What's the connection? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about over here, because the heart and the Holy of Holies are essentially the same thing. They are that central hub of the universe where everything stems from. That's where it comes from, and that's why we want to make sure that our tefillos are going from the heart to the Holy of Holies, and then from there up to the various levels of the Holy of Holies that exist in all of the different realms.
I have a question.
Yes.
Rabbi,
Just a second. People who are in person come before people who are on Zoom. Go ahead, yes.
She's far more dedicated than me. So, at what point would you not be able to turn your face towards Yerushalayim? Like when
How could that happen?
Yeah, like what's the
Well, let's say you're on a plane and it's behind you.
You can't just turn around.
And then the plane
You're
turns.
flying west. How are you going to turn
Jody's
face
gonna be going
east?
like this.
Are you an owl?
Stand on your
No, I'm serious. How could you do that? It's just not realistic, right? Or if you're in a car, you're a passenger in a car, and you have to daven then, and the car's turning, going around. You can't the whole time, What?
You stand up, like how do you do that in the car?
No, you don't stand up in a car. Please do not. No. No, please don't. No, you can. If you cannot stand, you can say Shemona Esrei while seated. And if you cannot face east, or you don't know which direction is east, or Yerushalayim, depending on where you live in the world, or at the time, then you just have in mind, picture, actually try to close your eyes and actually picture in your mind, like a beam of your tefillos going from you to the Beis Hamikdash, and then from there up to all the different, parallel Beis Hamikdash that are above it, in all the different realms and everything.
Second question. Well, maybe I'll let Gula say her question.
Okay, Gula, go ahead.
okay, so firstly, just because I'm on Zoom doesn't mean I'm not making quite the effort.
Oh no, on the contrary, we no one's concerned here about you making an effort.
Sorry. The second thing is in Yerushalayim, you'll actually sometimes see signs telling you which direction the Mikdash is. And when you take a train going out of Yerushalayim to Tel Aviv, it's actually quite neat. There are signs telling you to face backwards of the train. They'll have a minyanim on the train to Tel Aviv, and you'll see them facing backwards.
Nice. I can imagine they have swivel seats on that train. Around. Okay, very good, very good.
Check buttons. Get out of your seat and davening.
That's right.
Okay, so
Part 2.
Part 2, because I know we're talking about the heart right now, and I feel like we went over this in the last book, but I can't remember. Obviously, the heart being where it's at is strategically placed. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense,
Central.
being central. Where is it? Okay, it says the heart directs all the parts of the body, and all the limbs and organs depend on it. So, what about the brain?
What about the
Why
brain?
is the brain up top?
Okay.
And does that not direct what the heart
Okay.
is?
All right.
I
So
think we
so
talked
Jody,
about
we
this
did.
before, but-
Yes, we did. We talked about this in Derech Hashem, but just to recap very quickly what we talked about, the relationship between the heart and the brain. Basically, the heart is where everything starts, and the heart directs the brain. And ultimately, a person is going to understand things the way they want them to be understood. A person is going to believe things that they want to believe, and a person's logic is very much steered by their desire. So, as much as we think logic is it's scientific, it's math. It's 1 + 1 is 2. There's no desire. If I want 1 + 1 to be 3, it'll never be 3, as much as I want it to be, right? But for the most part, when it comes to things other than provable facts, pretty much everything else is ultimately guided by the heart. So you'll have some of the most brilliant people who will remain atheists. How is that? because they don't want to believe that there is a God. So therefore, logic leads them to there's a world without a God. And they will bring the most, waterproof logic that will be absolutely clear because that's what they want to believe. And ultimately, that guides our logic. The heart ultimately even guides the brain, I'm sorry. So the brain is on top. That's a whole nother conversation, why the brain is on top. That's the point of connection with the neshama and all that, which we're not going to get into that now. But the heart, yes, the heart it does precede the brain as far as the decision-making of a person goes.
To throw a twist, the eyes push the heart.
And the eyes lead the heart. Yes, the eyes absolutely can lead the heart. Yes, very much so.
It goes down to back up.
Yeah. Well, basically, all the input that a person receives is primarily from their face. So it's the brain, it's the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, right? That's the primary source of input that a person gets things. But the heart is where the decisions are made, meaning things need to process. And in between is where the processing goes on. And then the heart can decide what to do and send that up to the brain. So that's
why our mail goes to Jacksonville before it comes back.
yeah, that's right. That's why reflux is so bad. Okay. All right, here we go. Yes.
Are you saying that an atheist suffers from a sort of disguise?
Bias?
No, disguise, very, very deep-seated fear or anger, and that then led them to develop this logical train of thought that there can be no God?
Does every atheist have at their core some sort of fear? No, not necessarily. I think that the brilliant minds who are philosophical and who are delving into this exact topic, is there a God or not? This is not my saying, or Chanan talks about this, the Rambam talks about it. Many places throughout Torah literature we see that, yes, the reason that they don't ultimately come up with the same result is because they don't want to get there.
Right,
But that doesn't mean every atheist is that way.
okay, but that's talking about the heart doesn't want to get there.
Correct.
Do we have any further discussion about what that want is about?
What is that want about? So the Rambam says that want is pretty simple. Basically, if you ultimately believe that there is a creator, logically that will lead to that creator has a purpose in what they've done. It's not random. There's a reason for it. And if there's a reason for it, that means that creator is still involved because the reason they did it is obviously still going on or it wouldn't still be here. Which means that there's a higher power that we need to answer to. And we're not just here because of happenstance, but we're here because there is a higher power that's telling us, that's made us be here and has some directive for us, or else there'd be no reason for us. So once there's a directive, now all of a sudden I have someone I have to listen to. So very deep down, somebody who doesn't want that restraint, doesn't want to have someone to answer to, wants to simply be their own boss, will never get to that conclusion. So at some point along the way, they're going to have to knock it off. So Amalek, for example, knocked it off, and they said, well, yeah, Hashem created the world, but then he left. Right? They have to knock it off at some point. Others just say, no, there is no God, there never was. And there never will be. So they knock it off already, much earlier. But at some point along the way, someone's going to have to knock it off somewhere, or else they're subservient. There's rules. There's a reason for being here, and I can't just do what I want to do.
Right, but the emotion that would drive those different pathways would be fear, anger.
It would not. I don't think it would be fear or anger. No, it would simply be a desire to be free, a desire to do what I want to do. A desire not to be under anyone else's control.
Could it not boil down
Well, then
to
you'd be afraid of being under somebody else's control.
Yeah, you could. You could call it fear, sure.
could it not boil down to absolute truth versus moral relativism? Meaning, if there's an absolute truth, then that means there's a set of guidelines that I have to try to abide by. And if I'm a moral relativist, I think anything goes, everything goes.
Right. The question is, what's the core of that question? Meaning, what would push a person to pick A over B? So I think ultimately what it comes down to, like the Rambam says, is do I need to answer to somebody or not? Or am I my own boss?
Isn't this more Nevuchim?
Mar Nevuchim, he talks about this, sure. He talks about also, and yeah, but yes, in Mar Nevuchim he talks about it. Yeah. So ultimately that's what it comes down to. Am I my own boss, or do I have someone I have to answer to? Can I make my own decisions, or do I have to listen to somebody else? So ultimately, people naturally want want to be their own bosses. And then once the ego gets involved, then there's no other option. So there it went. You are your own boss. Congratulations. Yes.
I heard somebody say, one of the Rabbanim here, that's also the root of some of the opposition to the state of Israel. Because if you admit that the Jews belong in Israel, you're also admitting that there's a Torah, there's a halacha. He said he thinks that's one of the reasons why people who would otherwise oppose everything these Islamists stand for suddenly side with them.
Yeah, definitely could be. Definitely. Okay. All right, anything else? No? Moving on? Yes. Thanks for coming. Hope everything's well. Okay. I mean, was she listening? Uve Zayar, Shlach. In the Zayar and Parsha Shlach, it says as follows. You know what? Let's see. All right, I don't think we need to actually go through it. Does he go through it in English? Okay. All right. Yeah. So he kind of just picks the little pieces out of it. So basically, what the Zohar says is this concept that the heart is in the center of the body, and that's because it represents or I shouldn't say represent. Again, the words in the Zohar are always very hard to know exactly what he's referring to because it's written very esoterically. But the heart and the Kodesh HaKadosh and the Holy of Holies very much align. They function similarly. How's that? So, based on this, I'm just skipping through a bunch of this over here. Okay, so the Holy of Holies is the place where the Ark is, the Aron, the Kruvim, the Parachas, etc. All the things that represent the holiest place in the world. That is the heart of the Beis HaMikdash, and that is the heart of a person. So now, the Nefesh Hachaim continues and says in Cain. So based on this,
I just want to point out that in the Beis Hamikdash also, the Kodesh Kodesh was not in the center.
It wasn't correct. It wasn't geographically in the center, but it is the central point. Correct. Right. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So in Cain. So for those of you who are on the Hebrew, I'm on page Hey right now, first new paragraph. When a person wants to think in their heart, we're on the last paragraph on 35 for those of you in English. A thought which is impure, such as indecency, immorality. That is the equivalent of bringing a harlot in. Semelakina, which is the ultimate symbol of jealousy. The Beis Kodesh HaKadoshim Ha'elyon into the Holy of Holies of the upper Beis HaMikdash. Which is, in the highest realms, which a person's heart is connected to, is bringing this thought, which is the equivalent of bringing the actual thing in reality into these holiest places. And is strengthening, unfortunately, the powers of impurity, basitra achra, and the powers of prosecution against us. The Beis Kodesh HaKadoshim Elyon in the Holy of Holies in the upper realms. Harbe yaser v'yaser, much more. Imash nigram his gabras kayach tuma, than the strengths of tuma were strengthened. Al Yidei Titus Batziyah Beis Kodesh HaKadosh HaMikdash Shemata, when Titus did this physical act in the physical Beis HaMikdash, that accomplished much less in the form of the harm and the emboldening of Tumah in the world than when a person has a thought, an impure thought in their minds. So when learning through the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash and everything that went on, and one of the most jarring scenes is when Titus, this conqueror, came in, he brought a harlot with him, he rolled the Sefer Torah out in the Beis HaMikdash and committed his acts with this woman in the Beis HaMikdash. And obviously that's a very, very powerful It's
In the Kodesh Kedoshim, Dafka.
in the Kodesh Kedoshim, yes. And this is a very moving and powerful image that seems like the ultimate of defilement. It's the ultimate of impurity. And yet, Ramchal is telling us here, not Ramchal, sorry, Nefesh Hachaim is telling us here that was nothing compared to when a person has an impure thought in their heart. The person in their heart, the Jew who thinks a thought like that in their own heart, is accomplishing much more, much worse, much more destruction, much more impurity, much more effect in all of the realms and all of the world than the physical act that was done by Titus. The physical act that was done by Titus obviously was very unfortunate and is certainly very jarring and very almost embarrassing, but it didn't accomplish very much in the real sense of the word. Didn't really do anything. But when a person has such a thought in their heart, that already is extremely destructive, and that is very, very powerful, and that is the concept we have to keep in mind over here as we think about it.
Say that it's almost a representation of the people.
Is it a representation of what the people were thinking? I don't want to say that, because
I
when...
don't say what they were thinking, but more with the fact that they're leaving Kodesh Baruch Hu for Avodah Zarah, different things.
But it wasn't Avodah Zarah. This is by Hasheni. So we're talking about Sinas Chinam. That was the issue. The issue wasn't the Gimel Leres Chamoros. So I don't want to connect it. Do some research. Maybe you can find something.
But not on ChatGPT.
I don't know. You're more than welcome to develop it, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Just don't use an AI to research these kind of things. They make things up. They make sources up.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that was the plan.
He's talking. The Nefesh Hachaim is speaking about a yid because
Correct.
Obviously he did a Maisa, but his Maisa is nowhere near. Even though it would seem like more heinous because it's happening in the real world, but the machshava of if I'm understanding this correctly, the machshava of a Jew is is much worse or on a higher level than even a heinous Maisa of a non-Jew.
Correct. Now, okay. So what you're saying is correct. Yes, the act of Titus was significantly less effective than a thought of a Jew. Now, there's two parts to that. One is the fact that Titus was not Jewish, and the second is the fact that a thought is more powerful than an action. So it's on two levels.
On the level of neshama, like you said.
Right.
This is why when Rav Chaim says machshava, he's talking about a machshava, a person's machshava strays. A machshava can stray, but if it does, let's say somebody could have a thought, but there's no desire behind it. It's just a pop-up thought.
We're not talking about those. We're talking about someone, like you're saying, that is thinking that's in their heart.
Okay.
It's not just something that shows up.
Okay, so now it's become desire.
This is a product of the heart.
There's some sort of inclination, willful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Draw to it.
Correct. This is indulgence.
Okay.
Okay. So. Okay, v'chein. And similarly, kol chet asher kol ish Yisrael machnes b'libo chas v'shalom. Any sin that a Jew brings into their heart, eish zara. It's like a foreign fire that the Torah says you cannot burn another fire in the Beis Hamikdash. Only the Mizbeach, the menorah. These are the fires that are permitted, but other fires are not allowed. And when a person's heart is that sense, that burning sense, that drive, that desire comes into a person, and they are I don't want to say they're enforcing it, but they're using it. They're not trying to banish it. Because whether it's anger, Aishari Taivas Rice, or any other evil desires that a person might have, Rachman al-Litzlan, Halayu Mamish Koinyan Shekasuv. This is exactly like what the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Beis Kodshenu V'Sifartenu Asher Hayel Esreifas Eish, that the Beis Hamikdash has become engulfed in flames. Harachman Yisbarach Shema Yatzilenu Hashem should protect us. Meaning to say, the fire of the heart the burning, the desire that a person doesn't simply come upon, but actually tries to use, tries to enjoy in the moment, and take, not taking steps against it, but on the contrary, using it, that is like bringing a fire into the Beis Hamikdash. That's what it is, because the heart is the Beis Hamikdash.
So if somebody does an Aveira out of rote,
An Aveira out of rote is very little heart involved. Very little heart involved in that, if any. Right, you just do it to habit.
you do it out of habit.
You habit, or it just pops up. It's not something that it's not emotionally connected
You
to.
weren't like desiring that. Like, happens to be, you were here, you did this, okay, so that's much less of a sin than somebody who didn't even do that, but yet thought and desired it and longed for it.
But does,
I'm trying to kind of like build a merit for people who do things wrong.
What?
That's
You know
kind
people
of
like that?
No, I know. But I'm throwing it out there because I know it's possible.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that is something we're going to develop a lot as we go through Nefesh Hachaim, this idea of how the heart is really the highest level of action. You know, where the heart is, that's where the greatest effect is. So the things that we do are less impactful than the things that we feel. It's the feeling that's the key. That's the highest level. That's the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That's the Holy of Holies. That's the heart. So that's why he's focusing on that. And again, he will get into developing the different levels between the action and speech and thought and mind and heart, all these things. He will develop all of that as we go through, but he's specifically focusing on the heart here because that's his whole point. This is the Evan Shasiya. This is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This is the core of where it's all at, and that's why it is the most powerful in both ways, obviously for the good as well. A person who does a mitzvah by rote is accomplishing much less than a person who does a mitzvah with enthusiasm. With excitement, with some desire. That's the real mitzvah. That's the most effective mitzvah the person could have.
Or somebody who's burning desires to do mitzvahs and he just never gets the ability to do it.
Right, and if you have, we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about how a machshava k'maisa, that if a person tries to do a mitzvah and is unable to for circumstances beyond their control, they get credited as if they did it. Why is that? Well, simply because the main aspect of the mitzvah is the desire. So it's essentially done already, even if you couldn't actually do the action. The main part of it was already done in the heart.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Michael Forsky out of Milwaukee says something really nice about this. He says that when you do a maisa without a machshava, he says it's like you create a malach without a goof, an angel without a body. When you do without the maisa, but when you have the maisa without the machshava, it's like a goof without the neshama, and Hashem actually makes shidduchim between them.
Interesting. Okay. All right, we'll talk about that more, though. Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to talk about that more later on when he develops that concept. We'll see more about that.
It's very Hasidish, so I don't know if the Nefesh Hachaim actually holds of that.
We'll see. We'll see.
Stay tuned.
Nefesh Hachaim preceded Hasidim, so don't worry about it. Not fully, but for the most part. Okay. All right. Continuing on. This is what Hashem said to the Navi, the prophet Yechezkel. Actually, I'm not going to do that. That already gets into.
Just this paragraph here?
All right, I'm not going to get into that because that gets into some stuff that we're not going to go through. All right, so let's go. With this we can understand the pasuk in Bereshis. Let's see. Where is that? Okay, yeah, so in the English, page 36. Man, the soul of the universe. The Hebrew. So the second to last paragraph in chapter Daled. With this we can understand the pasuk that says, Vayitzer Hashem Elokim es Adam afar min ha'adama. Hashem created man, dust from the earth, Vayibach ba'apav nishmas chaim, and he blew into his nostrils the neshama of life. Vayhi Adam nefesh chaya, and man became a living nefesh. We'll leave it at that. Upshuta shel mikra, the simple reading of this verse, V'adei hu ketargumai. It's just like the Targum Onkelos says, which is V'haveh ba'adam l'ruach l'malala, that man became a speaking spirit, meaning within man there now resided the ability to speak, which is representative of intelligence, which separates man from the rest of the animal kingdom. And what this means to say is that when man was just a body, was just physical, made of dust, with no life to it whatsoever, no movement. And when it was put into this this lifeless body, this neshama of life, then he became alive, to be able to move and to speak, and all of the other elements that intelligence and life bring to man. V'ayin Ramban, Perish HaTorah, look at the Ramban over there, who goes with a similar approach, not quite, but similar. No. However, b'mikra vayhi ba'adam, when it comes to the pasuk of vayhi ba'adam like siv, it doesn't say that it was within man. Ela vayhi ha'adam. It says that man was. Man became. And that's how we can understand it based on what we've explained. Meaning he's not arguing with what we've said, but he's saying there's another hint that the Torah is giving us over here by using the term that man became instead of there became within man. And that is that man, through this neshama of life within him, who nasa nefesh chaya, became a nefesh, a source of life for everything else. Man became the source of life. Meaning for all of the other realms, all the other worlds, the incalculable number of other worlds that exist, and obviously this world, all of that became became reliant upon man, because man is now the source of life for all of those worlds. Just like all of the functioning of a human being is all based on the life that they have. Without life, none of the functions of the body work. Nothing. You can't think, you can't move, you can't see, nothing, right? If there's no life, the body has absolutely no power. And so too man is that life force for all of the worlds, the upper, lower, spiritual, physical, all the worlds. Man is that life force, and that's what the pasuk means. That all of these worlds function through man, and that's what the pasuk means. That man became the source of life for everything else. So it's not just that we were given life, but we were given the ability to give life. This is all part of the original plan of mankind being created in the image of Hashem, meaning that we have this ability to create, to destroy, to give life, to take away life from all of the worlds and all of the realms, and that is what is being given to mankind here with the neshama, as we've said, and this all starts at the heart. Okay, got it? Simple as that? Okay, then we'll call it a day. Everyone have a wonderful Yantif. Have a ksivach simatayva. I have said things, I'm sure, that have insulted people. I've ignored people probably at times as well, even those on Zoom. Also sometimes the people here. I would like to publicly ask everybody for mechila in case I did offend anybody. It wasn't usually intentional. And I obviously do forgive anybody just in case. And everybody should have a ksivach simatayva, a year of success, of growth, of understanding, of health, happiness. And Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see everybody next year.
Amen.
When's our see?